Hi, this is Jenna and I'm your travel nurse. So I'm going to be telling you guys about the do's and don'ts of traveling at the Philippines. So, let's see. First off, everyone's scared to go to the Philippines right now because there is basically a president and he's been known to kill people. And the first thing that I told all my coworkers I'm going to the Philippines, they were like, oh my gosh, like, aren't you scared? And so in reality, a lot of the people in the Philippines actually love this president because he's actually known to be taking down just the drug lords and the people who make progress kind of not a reality. And so no one's really scared in the Philippines of the president. They do have a lot of guards there, and this is to keep people safe, and the guards are actually hired by every business. But they're everywhere. Like if you go to the gas station, there's a guard there. If you go to the mall, there's one at the entrance, and then there's one at the entrance of every big store that might have expensive clothing in it. Also, when you go in a place, they'll search you at pretty much any place that you go into. And so they search you differently, separately from men and women. So the women go to the right, and you have to open up your purse, and they're going to look through it. And then the guys go to the left, and they'll like make you walk through an x-ray machine. And they do that pretty much everywhere you go. Of course, it makes you feel a little bit safer, unlike making you feel less safe. And also, when you go into a parking lot, a lot of times they'll search your car. And that's just like they're looking for drugs or guns, and that's about it. So if you don't have drugs or guns, then it's not a big deal. Another thing is the toilets. So the toilets there are, let's see, sometimes you have to pay for them, and it's not a lot. It's like maybe 25 cents or something. The ones that you have to pay for do have toilet paper. And the toilets, I mean, you're not pooping in a hole, you know, at any point in the Philippines, but they don't carry toilet paper. So about half of them, I'd say. So if you're a female in particular, you're going to need to bring some tissue paper or some wet wipes in your wallet. That's what I did, and I basically never ran out of it because I didn't use that much of it, you know. Anyway, so also, tipping is a big thing. It's a big deal. So the Philippines is a lot like Mexico in that they're really readily able to help you. They really want to help you to earn an extra dime. So when you get to your hotel, I would tip mostly baggage carriers at the hotels and taxis. And people don't really take taxis anymore. It's all Uber. So from the moment you get there, you're going to be taking Uber from the airport to the hotel. And then anywhere you go in Manila is going to be Uber. When you get to another major city, let's say Cebu City, it's going to be Uber as well. Anywhere that's a city. But when you get outside the city, say we went to Siquijor, which is like a little island. So you can pay a guide, and it's like $30 a day, $50 a day. And watch out because they will hike the prices if you're white or you're not from the Philippines. And they will basically drive you around either by motorbike or tricycle or car, whatever they have. And I think it's usually trikes or motorbikes. And they'll drive you around the entire island for the day, wherever you want to go. And that's the cheapest transportation at like a royal island. Let's see. Traffic is really bad in the Philippines. So the traffic in Manila is like, imagine New York City without a subway. It's like you're going to spend about 2 hours. If it's anywhere between 1 and 6 p.m., it's going to be about 2 hours to get anywhere if you're going through the central city because they don't expand their roadways. So it's only like 2 lanes at some point. And so it's just really bad. They need like a subway system, and they don't have one. So you try to do all your traveling in Manila before the hour of 1 p.m. or like after 6 because otherwise it's going to be almost impossible to get where you want to go in a reasonable amount of time. Like there were times that it would have been faster if we had walked versus driven because we were stuck in so much traffic. It's like a parking lot. And people are selling things, you know, outside the windows and stuff. Like water and snacks and stuff like that. Let's see, what else? Shopping. So shopping, everything is so cheap there. And I brought some money for souvenirs and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I might be short. Like, no, I would just worry about room in your bag because things are so cheap in the Philippines. It's like the max amount, like the average pair of shoes that are really nice and cute are like 20 bucks. And they don't go up to like $60, okay? So even like Birkenstocks there, I mean, unless they're name brand Birkenstocks, then they'll be 100 like they are here. But otherwise, if they're not an American brand, it's going to be really cheap. So be prepared to want to shop a whole lot. And there's a couple major malls in Manila. Also, if you want replica purses, and I'm talking purses that look like the real thing that are not the real thing, such as Coach, Louis Vuitton, Kate Spade, Prada, Gucci, they're all sold at Green Hills, which is a shopping center in Manila, and it is actually legal to go there and maybe look at one, perhaps purchase one if you feel like purchasing it, hint hint. And they're all about $30 US up to $100, depending on like what grade. They have different grades depending on how good they look, actually, but most of them are really good replicas. What else? Let's see. Domestic airlines there. So if you're going, we did a bunch of island hopping. We went from Manila to Siquijor, and then we went back to Manila, and then we went to Cebu, and then we went back to Manila. No, sorry, we went straight from Cebu to El Nido, and then we went to Manila. So domestic airlines there in the Philippines, you can definitely fly from one island to another. So it's very cheap. It's about $80 US to get a flight, and they're only about an hour and a half. They're so cheap and short. It's like flying from, I don't know, Dallas to Austin in Texas. You know, it's very short. And before you know it, it's over, and you're on an island. The airlines they're fine, but they don't allow as much luggage as international. So you might have to scale down your luggage if you're going to be doing a lot of island hopping. We had to pay extra because we went over the weight limit, which is about 20 kilograms. It was for us. And that's a checked bag. And then for carry-on, it was like 10 kilograms for domestic flights. And it's a little, they have the same size airplanes, but the runways are really not the same. They're kind of like dirt runways. But I felt safe like the whole time. I didn't feel unsafe. And there was no problems getting through security whatsoever. It was the same as the US. Oh, food in the Philippines. So, the food in the Philippines, there's some things that you can get there that you cannot get in the States. You have to be careful, though, because I did get sick at one point. It was after I had some uni, which is sea urchin, which in the States is about $200. I don't know, it's 20 bucks a plate, I think, for just one serving. And there it's like $2 because they have sea urchin just watching up on the shores. And so there's a lot of seafood that's available there that's not available here. Uni, which is sea urchin, is one of them that you want to try. Calamari there is a lot different. They're about this big compared to our little tiny calamaris that are shriveled here. Also, the mangoes there are different than our mangoes, and I used to say I hated mangoes until I tried Philippine mangoes. So they're like sweeter, and they have a whole like celebration around it yearly. It's crazy. Not the green mango. The green mango is also sour, but not the regular one is good. I also tried bangus, which is a national fish, and it's basically like a fried fish, kind of like our fried catfish, except for it has the bones in it and everything. And they serve it with egg and rice, and it's the bomb. It is so yummy. It's like fried catfish, but better. And then I tried balut, and this is like Anthony Bourdain's challenge and everything. And I actually did it. It's not bad. It tastes like egg, like our egg, except for you have to pick out the bones of I think it's a duck embryo. And I actually filmed the whole thing, and I can put it in this video. Getting around, so they have, another thing is coconuts. So you can actually pick your own coconut if no one catches you, which I did mine at night. They have them all over, like on the side of the road. And we kind of held on to it. Our tour guide was like, oh yeah, well, just pick it, you know. So then we went to a hotel the next day, and we had him open it for us, and we just drank it straight. And it's just like coconut water here that you buy in the States, except it's free because it's growing on the side of the road. Also, getting around in the Philippines, it gets kind of interesting, to be honest. For one thing, you have cars, of course, but only like Uber drivers have cars. When you get out to the islands away from the city, people are either driving in jeepneys, in tricycles, or on motorbikes. And jeepneys are basically an old Jeep that the U.S. government manufactured during World War II and left a bunch on the island. And now, then the Philippines, the people actually changed them. They all have like a slogan on them. They all have a theme. A lot of them are Catholic. They'll have like a quote from the Bible, which is really romantic. Same with the tricycles. And some of them have like Superman themes, or one was like a chick's magnet. And then, so you basically pay a small fee, and there's a bunch of people on these things. But they're not too many, and I'll post a picture of one to show what it looks like. And then a tricycle is basically a motorbike with a cage around it that has a seat on it, and it's really loud. It takes a little while to get used to riding on one of these things, but for me, like the second day, after about 20 minutes, I'd start to fall asleep because it was so relaxing. Because of you just get you don't get anything in your face, which is the nice thing about a tricycle. On a motorbike, which is just riding a, what would we call it here? Motorcycle. So, I had to think about that for a second. So you might get stuff in your face is the only downside to motorcycles, because if you're not wearing sunglasses or like a mask, a lot of people wear masks there, then you might get bugs in your eyes and stuff, and that happened to me, and it was kind of painful. But nothing beats like driving around an island on a motorbike. I mean, it was amazing, just having the wind in your hair and just looking around so quick. It was so cool. Oh, ferries. Okay, you will take ferries. Like, for instance, we followed Los LeBlanc, and he's a YouTuber, and we kind of followed the same paths that he took. I don't think we did it intentionally, I don't know. But, so, to get to Siquijor is an island that not many tourists go to. It's been known for witchcraft, and that's why a lot of Philippine people don't visit it, and a lot of Filipinos. And also, tourists don't follow them there. But there are tourists there, but there's just not a lot. So there's not like, you know, a huge amount of tours to go on or anything like that. But it's quiet, and you get to see a real life of the Philippine people in the rural areas. So they live in like bamboo houses that look like huts, you know, and we rented a resort for like $60 a night US, and I'll show you pictures. It was amazing. And they're so willing to help you, and you can go to a beach, and you can be the only people there because there's no tourists around. We also went to Bohol on the way back to Manila. We just stayed there a night, and that was amazing. It's a good scuba place. A lot of people on the beach there. There's not a lot of free space. But if you want to like buy souvenirs and get massages and all that, it's really nice. And it still kind of feels like you're in a different place. Also, we went to Cebu, which is an island that's very crowded to me compared to Siquijor. Not my favorite, but the waterfalls and the canyoneering makes it worth it. We saw Tumalog Falls, which is just epic, like from a movie, and there's no one there. You can just swim by yourself. It is a bit cold, and I was sunburned. Also, we went canyoneering, which is so worth it. Oh my gosh, it's like $20 a person. They even fed us a home-cooked meal at the end of this thing. And we spent 2 hours with one guide, 2 of us, and we just went around with like hats on for protection, and we jumped off of cliffs is what we did. We jumped like a 30-foot cliff, and I did a 25 feet, and then David, my boyfriend, did a 40-foot cliff, and I have video of that and everything, of course. And the water is so clean and clear, and they videotape you the whole time. Like, when you get a guide in the Philippines, they won't just show you around. They will, every like national park area, like any beautiful place where there's like a waterfall or like something amazing to see, there's going to be guides there, and their purpose is to protect it. And so you pay them a small fee, and they will like videotape you the whole time, and they also kind of guide you around and tell you where to jump, where not to jump, what's, you know, what's safe and what's not. And they're not annoying. Like, I thought these people would be so annoying, and they weren't. They're actually really good about it. They're very chill. They're just locals that just, and they're really good with their iPhone skills too. They can get slow-mo and everything. Another place I went is El Nido. This island is on part of Palawan Islands. It's gorgeous, and they offer a bunch of tours here. It's got a lot of tourists, but it's very small. So it's kind of got like a beach feeling to it, like The Beach, the movie. There's just a few places in town to get, you know, certain things. The power goes on and off all the time. We were sure to book a place that had a generator just in case we lost AC, which came in handy. We got massages, and I got really sunburned. We took a couple of tours. Actually, we just took one because we're only there a few days. But this is the A and C tour that everyone on YouTube talks about. And we took the A tour. We got to go to a little lagoon. It was called Small Lagoon. And then we actually, we went to about 3 different places. We also went to an island called the Seven Commandos Island. And it's named after a bunch of commandos from World War II that were actually stranded there after the war, I believe. And then we were there a couple hours, and then we also went to eat lunch at this other island, and we actually saw what looked like a kimono dragon in the wild, which was really awesome. And they let us play our own music on the boat. There were only about 20 people on the boat with us, and a lot of people got cut by coral, though. So I would advise you to just be careful if you're not a good swimmer. There was coral instead of sand on some of the bottom of the ocean. There was coral, which is great for scuba diving, but not so much if you're not very careful swimming. Vaccines to get to the Philippines. So I took a couple of vaccines, and I still got sick. But yeah, I am a nurse, so this is kind of like a joke, a running joke, as far as, you know, when you work in healthcare, you're always the one saying, oh, I'm not going to get sick, you know, look at that, I'm not that patient. And then I got sick. So I took 2 vaccines to get to the Philippines, and one was the typhoid fever vaccine, which is actually oral, and it was fine. You have to take like 3 doses over a week time. And then the other one was hepatitis A, which was a shot, and these are both optional. They're not going to check to make sure that you took them, but you know, because of what my boyfriend had told me, he got typhoid fever as a kid, and they don't sterilize a lot of the water, and it depends on where you go. You know, he drinks bottled water. Okay, so my boyfriend's from the Philippines, but he drinks bottled water at any restaurant we go to. Anywhere we go, he'll say, oh, I'll have a bottled water. And I'm like sitting at the table like, oh, I'll just drink this one. And sure enough, I'm the one who got sick. So it's a habit to get used to drink bottled water, but I think it's generally a better idea. And maybe avoid sushi, because I got sick after I ate sushi, literally the day after. So I'm thinking it was the uncooked food that maybe got me sick, because it probably wasn't the freshest or something like that. I don't know how many days they had caught it, you know. What else to talk about? Modesty isn't a big thing in the Philippines. You can wear what you want. People aren't going to treat you weird. And they don't really look at you weird. If, you know, I was an American. They have a lot of American tourists there. Not like a lot to where you feel like it's a touristy place. It's not a touristy place. But they're used to people doing business there, especially from Norway. Or like from Northern Europe. A lot of people thought that I was like from that part of the world. So the people there are really nice, genuinely. So whenever you go to a island that they have tour guides there, and it's up to you whether you want to go with a tour guide or if you want to try to do the whole thing yourself. My recommendation is, I'm going to give you a recommendation, is the first day, get a tour guide, the first day that you're on the island, and tell them to show you where all the cool spots are. you can also rent your own motorbike. So the day after that, if you have a guide the whole time, we did for one of the islands, and we felt like we didn't have enough time alone, and to choose exactly where we're going at every minute, you know. It didn't really feel like we were choosing where we were at every second. So I would suggest, you know, having at least one day to yourself on every island with a motorbike. You can rent one for like 20 bucks a day, and which is so cheap, you know, to us. And that way you can just, I mean, assuming you know how to drive one, then you can just, you know, take it wherever you want to go. And you can also rent cars, but I'm sure they're way more expensive. So anyway, on Siquijor, there's a few places to go. There is a falls, Kalawasan, I think. There's a falls there, and there is two beaches that are really great. One of them Los LeBlanc went to. I also bought some witchcraft while I was there, because it's known for witchcraft. This isn't witchcraft, this is alternative medicine. And yeah, it says it's good for period cramps or dysmenorrhea, which is why I got it, because I was like, and also kidney problems and stuff like that. And I was like, next time. I also got like little necklaces made of shells and stuff like that. There's some really cool things there, and wood carvings. So save some space for some fragile items on your luggage, because you'll want to get some of these things. And negotiate your prices, because they give tourists a higher price for everything. We also went to see whale sharks. We swam with whale sharks in, where was it? In Cebu, in Oslo. It was awesome. It's very cheap. I think it's like $10 a person, depending on if you're from the Philippines or not. Actually, I think it's 20 for me and 10 for him, because he's Filipino. And again, I don't mind this because it's their country. I think we should do the same, whatever. So anyway, you get on a little tiny fishing boat, and it's really rockety and stuff, but it's shallow water, and it's probably about, you know, the water's probably 20 feet deep at the most. And you can see all the way through to it. And my boats are lined up in a row, and there's a guy throwing shrimp and basically at the whale sharks to get them to come out. And you have to stay 12 feet, you know, away from them. But they're not really, the guards aren't, the guys that work there are not really like careful and stuff. So like one of them like swam underneath me. I mean, you can almost not pet them, but you can get pretty close to them if you want to. And you can stay in the boat if you want. It's actually cheaper if you don't swim. But for me, I really wanted to swim, and I got really good shots, and I'll show you. Another place I want to talk about is Tagaytay. It is 1 hour away from Manilla, or outside. It's kind of like a suburb of Manilla. I think it's to the north. Anyway, it's the island with the volcano and with a lake in it. So this place is a lot bigger than it looks on Instagram. So it's a whole, I mean, there's businesses all over it. There's resorts. We went to Bag of Beans, which is a coffee and restaurant place, and it was the bomb. It is the bomb. And it has the best view. So, like, if you could take pictures for Instagram all day there. A little tip I wanted to add for YouTubers out there, if you are actually going to the Philippines and you are actually a female, be careful what kind of spas you go to. I actually had a pedicure and manicure done the first day I got there, and for the next week and a half, I had infected toenails. I don't think they sterilize their equipment like they do in the US. In here, it's very regulated. You have to have, you know, you have to be registered. You have to pass a test, you know. And there, I didn't see their equipment sterile. I didn't see it come out of packages, and I ended up getting some antibiotics. First, I looked up what condition it was. You know, it was an infected toenail. What kind of antibiotics work for that? I then went to the pharmacy, bought it for a couple of dollars over the counter, and the pharmacist was able to tell me how often I take it. They have a lot of skin whitening there. They have a lot of their skin products have whiteners in them, as in like their face wash and a lot of things. I mean, you'll see it. It'll have a whitener written on it. They're marketed that way, and so just be kind of careful as far as the beauty goes. I did find some conditioner I really loved, but it doesn't have anything like that in it. And then they offer a lot of really cheap. Their spas are really cheap. but they come at a price. Okay guys, so I'm going to talk about the exchange rate for a second. So for the Philippines, it is a peso, but it's different from Mexico, obviously. So it's going to be anything that you're buying, you're going to multiply that number times 2, and then you're going to move the decimal 2 to the left, and that'll be the US dollar amount. So for example, if you have something that's 250 pesos, you're going to double it, so it'll be 500 pesos. And then you're going to move it 2 to the left, the decimal, and it'll be $5. Very, very simple. It works with everything, even like little things. 25 pesos becomes 50 pesos, and then you move it 2 to the left, and it's 50 cents. So it works all the way up, and it's very, very simple. So this thing controls our lights and our electricity. So it says insert card for power, and then when you leave, you take your card out, and it shuts the lights off.